Okay.
Very good. Welcome, council, staff, and members of our virtual gallery today. We'll now resume our regular council meeting of the Township of Cavan Monaghan. There was a report coming back from closed session. Council received a report from Matthew Savino from SHRP, who's responsible for the human resources for the Township of Cavan Monaghan. And council was asked to consider a new municipal salary grid. So with that, I have a motion with regards to that. And the motion be that, Madam Clerk, I will wait for that motion to be brought forward later, correct? So I will just, that bylaw number 2020-63 being a bylaw to adopt a salary grid for municipal employees for the Township of Cavan Monaghan be added to the agenda, and that the confirming bylaw be renumbered accordingly. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. I can only see Councillor Huntley, and I can see, without scrolling, sorry everybody. Okay, and I got a deputy mayor too. I don't see you yet, but okay, so we got a mover and a seconder. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Thank you, everybody. Now we will move into our regular meeting, and there is no delegations. Item 8.1, minutes of the regular council meeting held October 19th, 2020. Can I get a motion to adopt those minutes? I got Councillor Moore. Apologies. I just, can I have staff just go just to hide for a moment, just so I can get council on the same screen? I'm looking for movers and seconders and got to scroll. I got perfect. Yep. All right, there's my council. Sorry, mover in a second. I got Deputy Mayor Graham and Councillor, oh, actually, sorry, I already had Councillor Moore to move it. Deputy Mayor Graham to second. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next item, minutes from the committees and boards. Minutes from the Cavan Monaghan Public Library Board meeting held September 15th, 2020. Motion to adopt those minutes. We got Councillor Moore and Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Moving along to item 10.1, report planning 2020-39, Secouth severance application B-67-20, Miss Ellis.
Mayor McFadden, members of council, planning report 2020-39 is before you today with the following recommendations. 1, that the Township of Cavan Monaghan support severance application B-67-20 because it conforms to the Township of Cavan Monaghan official plan. Secondly, that the completed municipal appraisal form be forwarded to the Peterborough County Land Division Department. And thirdly, that the following conditions of approval be applied to application B-67-20, being the payment of $1,200 cash in lieu of parkland to the township. And secondly, that an agreement be entered into between the owner and the municipality and registered on title at the applicant's expense to recognize the recommendations outlined in section 7 of the environmental impact study prepared by GHD dated July 28th, 2020.
Very good. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none on my screen, I will look to then a motion to receive the report and accept the recommendation. Deputy Mayor Graham, Councillor Huntley, Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Item 10.2, report planning 2020-40, 1327801, Ontario Limited Justco Limited, site plan agreement. Ms. Ellis?
Thank you, Mayor McFadden. Planning report 2020-40 is before you today with the recommendation that bylaw number 2020-61 be approved to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the site plan agreement between 1327801 Ontario Limited and the Corporation of the Township of Cavan Monaghan.
Very good. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, motion then to receive the report and accept the recommendation. We got Councillor Belch and Deputy Mayor Graham. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is passed. Ms. Ellis, thank you very much for the reports. Next item, 10.3, Report Building 2020-04, Sewage System Services. Mr. Phillips.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The recommendation before you is that Council approve the proposed agreement for sewage system services. Just a very brief overview. Currently, and in my entire time here, Peterborough County Health Unit has enforced Part 8 of the Building Code, which regulates sewage services or sewage systems. A good building inspector, I always say, is like a good referee. If you don't notice them getting in the way, they're doing a good job. We've heard nothing but good things about Peterborough County Health Unit in their services. They have good rapport with all the contractors and all the owners. We never hear any issues of anything hiccups with the process that we have. It is a second place that they have to go to get their permits, but we never hear any complaints with that. The expertise they bring to the table, we cannot match. I am currently certified to inspect sewage system services, but what they have and the experience that they have is really key to making sure that these go in as per code. So our recommendation is to continue with the service, and Julie Ingram, the CBO from the Peterborough County Health Unit, is here to field any questions you have on their service or any of their fees or the agreement itself as well. That being said, I'll hand it over.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. It sounds like a great all-round good news story. Appreciative of the services being provided. And I wouldn't expect to see a report from you, Mr. Phillips, anytime soon, suggesting you want to take over sewage system. Yeah. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, motion then to receive the report and accept the recommendation. We got ourselves Councillor Belch and Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next item, 10.4, Report Planning 2020-41, Year-to-Date Activity, Report Building Economic Development and Planning. Mr. Conley.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you and to Council, you have before you Planning Report number 2020-41, Year-to-Date Activity Report, Building Economic Development and Planning, and the recommendation that Council receive Report Planning 2020-41 Year-to-Date Activity Report, Building Economic Development and Planning for information.
Excellent. Questions from members of council? Seeing none, motion then to receive that report.
Oh, I had a question. Sorry, Mayor.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Graham.
Sorry, I was just catching up, scrolling through the agenda on my phone when I marked up, so apologize for that. Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Conley. With regards to the budget forecast for the year from a financial impact in that portion of the bottom of the report, I think it's page 60 in the package. It states about the fact that we're already $300 in excess of what the 2020 permit revenue was going to be. Is there a reason for that, the modesty of that forecast and our ability to exceed it so substantially?
Through you, Councillor, to the rest of Council, maybe what I'll do is have Kyle fill in terms of where the details were. This was budgeted from last year.
Right.
So this was done ahead of time in terms of budgeting for the building permits. There is outperformance in terms of the activity, which is laid out in attachment number 1, but maybe Kyle, you could give a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, and sorry, Kyle, I misspoke. The 300, there's only 184,000 that we've exceeded the target for this year. My apologies.
Yes, thank you. That would be correct. So currently, I believe, we are close to 400,000. That is double what we originally budgeted. We did foresee it being a slower year, even though COVID's been in place. The market has been extremely hot. So with everybody staying at home, we've seen a lot more decks and little renovation stuff like that. So, we always try to keep it conservative, and we definitely couldn't have predicted this year, but things are good. So looks like it's going to be a positive into the building revenue reserve again. That's basically where it's at. We have seen quite a bit of the subdivision get built out. I believe we only have maybe a few permits left in there, and that's going to be the entire first phase. So that's where we're currently sitting. Next year, it's a little hard to predict, but obviously we're going to be built out of subdivision lots. I do foresee quite a few decks and renovations, maybe sheds and stuff like that going on over there, but obviously not as many single-family dwellings.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Just a
Deputy
follow up,
Graham.
Mayor? Yep,
Absolutely.
sorry. Kyle, do you happen to know offhand what we forecasted for 2018 or 2019 with regards to budget?
2019. So yeah, 2020 was 200,000. If you could give me one quick second, I might have
You
that
can
handy.
follow up via email. I was just curious in about the consistency and the relation to what the forecast is versus what we actually accrue. You know, I understand the need for, you know, and the difficulties with providing the forecast. I was just trying to understand exactly where we're at with regards to, you know,
Yes.
how surprising it is or how
Year
much
to
of it
year.
might.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, if I had to guess without trying to pull it, I know that we did budget for more revenues coming in for 2019 because we knew there'd be quite a bit of build. Something like 300,000 if I'm not mistaken, but I will follow up, send you an email on it.
Thank you.
Very good. Any further questions for Mr. Phillips or Mr. Conley? Seeing none, then the motion to receive that report. Deputy Mayor Graham and Councillor Moore. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next item is the report CAO 2020 report and capital project status. Any members of council have any questions for our CAO? Okay, seeing none, motion then to, sorry, Deputy Mayor Graham, is that a hand?
Yeah, sure.
Deputy Mayor?
The one question I have, and I don't believe I asked this last time, so apologies if I did, Ms. Hurley. With regards to the plan for the additional acres surrounding the community center, I know that was originally forecast or projected to be done in September, and now it's pushed back until April 2021. I just wondered if there is any sort of status update or any sort of retained incorporation that might be beginning work on this issue, or if it's still prior to that stage, because I know I've seen the pad for the workout or the outdoor fitness equipment going in, and that looks like it'll be a great addition. And I'm just curious about the additional plans for the other the rest of the acreage around the area.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, to the Deputy Mayor. As you know, or you may remember, that study was sort of tied to the Tower Hill North development. So therefore, we were hoping that the status on that would be a little bit further along before we go ahead and carry out that study. Therefore, this year it's been quite delayed, one from the developer side, but also with COVID. So it'll be a recommendation that we consider moving that forward for the 2021 budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Any further questions from members of council to our CAO? Seeing none, then a motion to receive that verbal report. Got Deputy Mayor Graham and Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Belch, Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next items, council committee verbal reports. I'll just go across with each of the councillors. Councillor Huntley, any updates?
None at this time.
Councillor Belch.
I think that reports will be able to report on when we have our next meeting. I think the Ganaraska going to have a meeting on the 17th of November, and same thing with the revitalization and geez, I can't even remember what the heck the committee's called. Is
that the Mr. Hat?
That's what I'm forgetting, is the Mr. Hack designation that we've adopted for it. Yeah, it'll be on the same day as well, the 17th.
Very good.
So
excellent. Councillor Moore.
Just the three takeaways from the library board through you, Mayor. One was the e-resource numbers have significantly increased. The e-resources included all the following ebooks, auto books, streaming services, and online magazines. And then the Millbrook branch is partnering with the Old Millbrook School Family Center on Thursdays to offer learning trails. And then the Public Library Week. For every patron who takes out library material, ballot will be filled out for them to win $30 gift certificate from the Millbrook Mercantile. And hopefully council members were able to enter the draw after receiving Carla's invitation. So that's the 3 takeaways from the library board.
Very good. Thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Any questions from members of council for Councillor Moore? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Graham.
Just an update with regards to Millbrook Valley Trails through you, Mayor. We did have a meeting on Monday of last week where we discussed a long-awaited renewed rendition of the brochure for or the map and wayfinding document that we use for the trails. It looks fantastic. It's been a lot of work gone into it, and I think it's a great improvement and you know, will be very beneficial to all those. We also had some further discussions about sort of improved planning and future objectives for the committee. And so that was a great conversation had, and appreciate that. And then in addition to that, there was also, unfortunately in the spring due to COVID, we weren't able to do our usual trails work days with the amount of volunteers and efforts that have gone into it. And that sort of left some much needed work to be done. And so we were able to construct a smaller group of volunteers to conduct a socially distanced and health board accommodating workday on Saturday morning with myself and probably a group of about 20 others, separated and masked when appropriate, and you know, in different parts of the trail doing different jobs. And so I just wanted to reach out and thank all the volunteers for that necessary work so that the trails will be in as good a shape as possible before the winter, and for everyone to enjoy. So thanks to everyone who took the time out to volunteer and help out. And it was great work and a good time had by all. So thank you.
Very good. And thank you, Deputy Mayor, and congratulations to all of the volunteers. It's truly what makes the Millbrook Valley Trails such a wonderful asset to the community. And it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Any questions for Deputy Mayor? Okay, seeing none. Sorry, was there a question? Oh, Councillor Bell.
Through you, Mayor, I was just wondering to our Deputy Mayor, when normally does the trail system sort of shut down for the winter, or does it shut down at all?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Belch, there are certain components of certain trails that close down, but it's usually due to, you know, weather nuances, like what in the spring, for example, when it's especially muddy, and the damage to the environmental, you know, structure of the trail would be compromised. So in the winter, the thing that causes that is really ice. You know, there can be times, you know, in different areas due to elevation and, you know, these frost thaws that we've been having over the last few winters that can create really perilous conditions. I remember my first representation or review of the trails as a member was we spent a lot of the time traversing the trails on our backsides because it was too precarious and dangerous to walk. So, you know, there are instances where it does require to be closed, but for the most part, they are open year round.
Thank you.
Very good. With regards to the policing task force, it has, as per our last meeting, it has been established, and we're in the process of setting the first date for our first meeting. So I'll certainly keep council members abreast as that process continues. So, and our clerk has just notified us, the first meeting is November 6th. Can I get a motion from council to receive those verbal reports? Councillor Belch and Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yeah, yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. We now move to our general business, and our most exciting topic of the day is our staff recognition. So with that, the Township of Cabin believes that loyal and dedicated employees are the basis of our organization, and in recognition of their contribution, the Township of Cabin would like to express its gratitude by honoring major milestones. Wayne Hancock, Director of Public Works, 11 years. Kimberly Pope, Director of Finance, Treasurer, 13 years. Cindy Page, Deputy Clerk, 13 years. Chris Allison, Supervisor for Parks and Facilities, 14 years. Bob Palmer, Public Works Equipment Operator, 15 years. Josh Nichols, Parks and Facilities Operator, 16 years. Karen Ellis, Director of Planning, 17 years. Bruce Elliott, Public Works Equipment Operator, 18 years. Dan Brotherstone, Public Works Mechanic Operator, 18 years. Yvette Hurley, Chief Administrative Officer, 18 years. And Bill Balfour, Fire Chief, 19 years. So if everybody give a virtual round of applause and appreciation for our exceptional staff, congratulations. Thank you, and a sincere thank you on behalf of all members of council to all the staff. Thank you for the hard work and your dedication to our community. We certainly appreciate it. Can I get a motion then to receive those accolades? We got Deputy Mayor Graham and Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Any correspondence for information any members of council wish to bring forward? Seeing none. Correspondence for action, item 13.1, letter from Harmony Pastoral Charge regarding the rental of the community center hall. How does council wish to address the correspondence? It wasn't even a long weekend. A little slow. Anybody wish to speak to it? Deputy Mayor Graham?
I'll take the reins, I guess. Through you, Mayor. You know, I appreciate the circumstance that the charge is faced with in this case, with not being able to utilize the school for service. As much as, you know, I would like to come up with some accommodation for them. I just, with regards to the user fee or the user fee agreements that we have already in place, subsidizing or discounting the rates for the community hall, I don't feel is something that's an appropriate consideration at this time, unfortunately. But I do appreciate the sentiment, and should they still have interest in lieu of not potentially receiving said discount, to utilize the space, as long as all the public health measures and the cap on, you know, obviously the number of attendees of the charge at a given time are met. The reality is that, you know, there's a lot of municipal costs associated with upholding and enforcing and maintaining the public health measures for any rentals at this time, let alone one of this size and scope. So those are costs that need to be captured in regards to the rental agreement. So I just don't feel as though we're in a real position to discount those any further at this time, given the fact that we haven't passed on those additional costs to any other user groups. And it's only fair. So I appreciate the request and I wish them well. And but that's just, I motion to receive, I guess, in that regard.
Very good. Seconder? Councillor Huntley, any further discussion? Seeing none, motion then, Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next item is bylaws, item 14.1, being bylaw number 2020-60, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement to provide for the provision of sewage system management services. Be read a first, second, third time, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Moved by Councillor Belch and Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next, item 14.2, bylaw number 2020-61, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the site plan agreement between 1327801 Ontario Limited and the Corporation of the Township of Cavan-Monaghan. Be read a first, second, third time, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Mover, Deputy Mayor Graham. Seconder, Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Next item is 14.3 with regards to the bylaw number 2020-62. And with that, I will turn it over to Deputy Mayor Graham, who I know wishes to speak specifically to that bylaw.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, Mayor, and to members of my colleagues and members of council, I just wanted to make a brief statement in regards to council's consideration of the issue of ORVs on township roads. Despite what certain individuals have tried to communicate over the weekend in some emails, the topic has been under review by both the township staff and members of council for upwards of 2 years now, including countless hours of research, consultation, and discussions with constituents by all members of council. It is my opinion that no single member of council nor any member of staff has at any point shown any indication of a preconceived bias or any sort of agenda when it comes to this matter, but rather a commitment to listening, exploring, and trying to understand to the fullest extent of the consideration of this matter and what's being considered. Despite council having voted on this issue in September and requesting that staff come back with this bylaw today, in discussions that I have had with members of council and the mayor, there is a feeling that the Cavan ward should have the opportunity to have a public meeting for the perspective of these residents to be shared with council. I think it is fair to say that the whole discussion on this matter as a whole has been a tremendously frustrating topic for council. And there has been a lot of unnecessary and inflammatory information shared by groups on both sides of the issue, and aggressively condescending messages directed towards all members of council that are based on impulsivity rather than any reason or fact. And with that said, what I want to discuss and what the mayor and I have discussed is a number of motions that we'd like council to consider with regards to that bylaw. The first of which being a motion that I will put forward, being a motion that bylaw number 2020-62 be amended to reflect only the Millbrook and North Monaghan wards.
Very good. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Belch, Deputy Mayor Graham.
The reason being that with regards to the county's position and these roads, the amount of county roads not being within our jurisdiction in these wards, to me, there's no ability to further the conversation at this time.
Very good. And I guess if I could just add to that, based on some of the new information that was received by the County of Peterborough on Friday afternoon, it's appropriate, and as Deputy Mayor has very clearly articulated, the opportunity would to be there for an opportunity to hear the ward of Cavan ward to speak publicly on the topic. Any further questions or comments on the motion on the floor? Councillor Huntley.
Through you, Chair. I think I got two thoughts that I'll start with. One being, I absolutely think that the people on Cavan deserve to be heard. The question is more a matter of timing versus a matter of, holding up this bylaw. I feel that this bylaw should go through as written, and we shouldn't be separating the wards, especially in lieu of the fact that we have boundary adjustments for these wards in play at the moment. So whatever these wards are could potentially change in very shortly. So I think addressing it on a ward by ward basis doesn't make sense, and it should go back to closing all the roads across the township fairly or equally. And then, after having public discussions with all residents, then we look at it a road by road basis.
Very good. Any further comments from other members of council? Councillor Belch.
Through you, Mayor. We all know that Cavan is the largest of the wards.
Councillor Belch, you might have to shut off. Councillor Belch, you might have to shut off your video. It's coming through choppy. So
okay.
If you shut off your video, then we'll be able to hear you. Just start over because nobody heard that.
Okay. Well, stop video.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that it's well known that Cavan is the largest ward, certainly with the largest number of people that live in the rural areas, even though I don't think there's anybody that I've spoke to that thinks that they would use ORVs in North Monaghan. Certainly, I've had a number of people that have made it clear that that live in Cavan that would. So I am in favor of having a meeting, public meeting that would allow those people to speak. My understanding is that there are some councillors who don't have the same view from a just sheer number standpoint, that people in Cavan do want to use some of the roads with their ORVs.
Very good. Councillor Moore, I saw your hand up.
Yes, I have a tendency to agree, sorry, through you, Mayor. I have a tendency to agree with what Councillor Huntley is saying, that we did make a decision, and in a sense, I feel we should stand by it. That said, we also did tell Cavan, as we told everyone else in the township, they would get their turn at the podium. Personally, I think there's been a lot of uproar for nothing over this last weekend, in particular, a lot of outsiders who should have no say in anything about this township. And I think, if anything, if the ATV people want to be respected in this community, they shouldn't be bullying and harassing people to the extent that they did over this past weekend. That said, I do think they should still have their say, and we should listen to before we make a final decision.
Very good. Anything else? Any further members of council wish to speak? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Sorry, can you clarify
honest,
what
at this stage? I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, exactly. What are we voting
Go
on?
ahead, Deputy Mayor Graham, reread your motion.
So the motion as it pertains to the bylaw is an amendment to the bylaw to, at this point, to move forward with the prohibition of the operation of ORVs in the wards of Millbrook and North Monaghan. So keeping the majority of the content in the bylaw as it stands now with that amendment. So if that amendment goes through, I believe that that is sort of what we're discussing to try to make progress on this issue, where progress can be made and make it clear. And the idea is that this public meeting, when it is conducted, will be restricted to input and insights from Cavan residents exclusively, because that is who we want to hear from, and that can inform how we move forward with any, unique considerations. So, Mayor, I believe there was a second motion that incorporates.
Absolutely. So if I could speak to that. So the first motion is literally to amend the bylaw that's up for consideration. So before you can amend the bylaw, you need to pass a motion to amend the bylaw, which is what Deputy Mayor is proposing. The second motion is the passing of the amended bylaw. So it's done part and parcel. So the discussion is on whether or not you were approving to amend the bylaw based on specifying Millbrook and North Monaghan. So that's what the amendment is. It's not approving the bylaw. The second motion is for council to approve the amended bylaw. So it's a two-part motion. Does that provide clarity, Councillor Huntley?
Yeah, and then I have a third motion with regards to the public meeting. Sorry, Ryan.
Go ahead, Councillor Huntley.
So through you, Chair. So before we vote on this thing, I have a question about the timing. So if we go forward with the motion that Deputy Mayor Graham has on the floor, and a public meeting isn't held by the end of this year, in January, these roads will open up automatically.
Absolutely.
So
I know where you're heading.
So if we do not have a meeting until sometime next year, then we are just automatically opening up the roads in Cavan.
Yeah. I can speak to that component of it to address your concerns, and I know exactly what you mean. So essentially, the third motion, which Matthew will bring forward, has to do with a public meeting. It's dependent upon 1 and 2 passing in order to go to number 3. Number 3 is about a public meeting. Realistically, a public meeting won't be held until December. Realistically, to provide staff an opportunity to prepare for it, to get it out, to message it, etc., December is reasonable. If on some freak thing that nobody shows up and there's nothing further report, there might be an opportunity for a staff report to come back. But based on the initial discussion of a 3-mile trail, of which 400 people attended and offered their opinions and concerns relative to that. I suspect all of the information from that will be collected by staff, and staff will not be able to bring back a report until the new year. However, that being said, regardless of that, staff will bring back the remaining part of this bylaw, which is for Cavan, prior to the end of 2020 to be voted on to close all the roads within the township, and that will be up for discussion when the staff report comes back in 2021. So to your point, all the roads won't be effectively opened on January 1st because effective of the end of prior to the end of 2020, a motion will be brought forward to close them, but we want to reassure the citizens of the Township of Cavan we are open to listening to everything that they wish to voice with their concerns on ORVs, and that we will take that feedback to go into a report. But realistically, for staff to go through all of that information, if it's anything like the first public meeting, they're not going to have that done until 2021. But that doesn't leave the roads wide open, because there will be a bylaw coming prior to the end of 2020 to ensure that they're all closed pending council's decision later in 2020 with that staff report. I got, just because I'm answering Councillor Huntley's question, I'll go to Councillor Huntley, and then I saw Deputy Mayor is going to speak too.
But through you, Chair, then it really doesn't make any sense, because we're going to close the roads to Cavan before 2021 anyway. So why not do it now? We can still have the public meeting, and we can open them when and if the outcome of that public meeting takes place. Like, I don't understand the point of having a second bylaw coming forth in a couple of months, or less than a couple of months now, to do exactly what we could do right here, right now.
Deputy Mayor Graham.
I understand where you're coming from, Councillor Hunley, and through you, Mayor. To be honest, I mean, I'm going to try to not use too many words, which is my my proclivity is usually to do that. I think it's a gesture of good faith. To be honest, it's by not pre-perceiving. You know, there is a simplicity from a bylaw standpoint to simply pass the bylaw now and have this Cavan portion revisited. But I think it's a gesture of good faith to the Cavan ward and those residents that we want to hear them. We're not going to make a preconceived notion, and to the, you know, as I share the mayor's sentiment that I don't expect no one to attend or contribute. But should that be the case, then council could make the vote right then and then amend the bylaw to proceed and as they deem appropriate. So it just gives you a bit of flexibility as council, but it also is a gesture of good faith to say that, you know, the contents of the meeting are going to be accepted, and then we are going to incorporate those as we work towards any unique considerations to that ward that might be appropriate.
And I think to further along that, I think it's really important to emphasize the focus of the public meeting are the roads in the Cavan ward. So similar to how the first meeting was a discussion on the connection of the trail and everything outside of that was not to be discussed, this meeting will be specifically directed to the municipal roads in the town, in the Cavan ward. And it's not an opportunity to speak about the pros and cons of coming into Millbrook. It's not the pros and cons of driving around in North Monaghan. It's specifically geared towards Cavan. And so anybody that wishes to speak to it because they don't believe that Millbrook or North Monaghan have been addressed, by passing this bylaw, we've clearly identified Millbrook and North Monaghan have been addressed, and those discussions will come forward as part of the Peterborough County Transportation Master Plan, because essentially in Millbrook and in North Monaghan, you can't get anywhere other than around in a circle without the use of county roads. So it makes sense to park that one. However, in light of the information that came forward from Peterborough County as of Friday, clearly you can get around the Cavan ward, which brings to light the fact that there is an opportunity to have an open public discussion on that topic. And realistically, that report's not going to come back until the new year, but we want to rest assured it will not be left wide open. That council will be dealing with it by the end of the year to close all the roads pending that meeting. But we really want to emphasize to all individuals that wish to participate in that meeting, the focus will be on Cavan ward roads, and the focus will be on residents of the township of Cavan Monaghan. And I can't emphasize that enough. That's the focus. Councillor Huntley?
So through you, Chair. So what I'm understanding at this point is this proposal is to close Millbrook, close North Monaghan, leave Cavan open, have a public meeting in December for Cavan, close Cavan, and then reconsider opening Cavan in 2021.
Yes.
Okay, that makes no sense. with all due respect. I am fully supportive of having a public meeting to discuss the roads in Cavan or anywhere else in this township for that matter, but not closing them now, only to close them in less than a month. I'm not sure what that gesture of good faith is. I think that is a misleading notion to the citizens.
Deputy Mayor Graham?
Well, I think I understand where you're coming from Councillor Hunley. The reality is that they are closed now. They are still closed, right? Like everything is closed. The only date that is requirement for the bylaw to be in place to continue that is January 1st, 2021. So you're right. There's an argument to be made that it is more efficient to simply pass the bylaw as proposed with the inclusion of the Cavan ward as such. But there's a sentiment that I think I don't necessarily agree with, but I can understand that by pre-approving a bylaw, shutting them down, that there is a misguided sentiment that it could be a preconceived notion that that will be the outcome of any consultation, and therefore the consultation would not be in good faith. And I understand that that is not an efficient means of going forward, and that's why the only justification I can provide you is a gesture of good faith.
Councillor Moore?
Well, I was just going to ask a simple question through you, Mayor. One of my constituents last night called, and he lives in the village, basically, lives on Distillery Street, wants to be able to get to tap the cord line. Okay, so he's in Cavan Ward technically, but he has to drive through Millbrook to get to where he wants to go. How do you explain that one to a Cavan taxpayer?
Well, he's requiring he's requiring a county road, which is not part of this discussion. So again, that's not what we're discussing. No, he's got to wait for the discussion during the Peterborough County Transportation Master Plan, because that's when they're going to be talking about the county road. So is it appropriate? Absolutely, but during that time, not during the discussion on the Cavan roads. Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough, we want to ensure that there's nothing misleading, that this is 100% about the roads in the town, in the Cavan ward. It's not about Millbrook, and it's not about North Monaghan. And I think we set the stage and make it appropriate, and then everybody's well aware what the discussion is for. Deputy Mayor Graham?
Yeah, and I think it just goes to reiterate, because one of the most popular misconceptions is this idea that we have any jurisdiction over a county road, which we do absolutely not. So, if there are people in the audience reviewing this or at any future time, there is no jurisdiction or leverage or anything to the extent that we have over those class of roads. And that is, any comments or any emails that I've received that insinuate something else really discredit the amount of reflection or insight or review that people have done with regard to this issue, because it is not within our control whatsoever. And the county, even though they were erroneous in one of their information that both two senior individuals provided to us, which was frustrating, they are not wrong in their ability to have jurisdiction over those county roads. And that is what is being informed by the Transportation Master Plan that is under review, as the mayor alluded to.
Very good. Any further questions? Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham.
Just to clarify, sorry, we're going to do this motion by motion, or are we skipping to, we had a mover and a seconder for motion 1, which is the amendment.
Yeah,
So
but we
we're
haven't,
voting.
yeah, we're still on 1 because we haven't got to
Yep.
2 or 3.
Just clarifying, just to be clear, I think it's helpful for everyone. I vote yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
No.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Now on to motion 2, which is essentially the bylaw. So I will read it as the bylaws are normally written. That bylaw number 2020-62 being a bylaw to prohibit the operation of off-road vehicles in Millbrook and North Monaghan wards within the jurisdiction of the Township of Cavan Monaghan be read a first, second, third time, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Moved by Deputy Mayor Graham. Second. Do I have a seconder? I can't
Yes.
see.
Tim.
Okay. Okay, we got a seconder. I'm
just ghosting you.
Thank you. Any questions on the bylaw? None. Madam Clerk, recorded vote?
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Deputy Mayor Graham?
Yeah, so then lastly would be a motion that staff be directed to schedule a public meeting exclusively for residents of the Cavan Ward to provide input on the new provincial legislation on ORV use on township roads in the Cavan Ward, and that this meeting be scheduled prior to the end of 2020, ideally no later than the first week of December.
Very good. Do I have a seconder?
Tim.
Councillor Belch. Any further discussion on that motion with regards to a public meeting? Madam Clerk, recorded vote?
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. I got to say, in wrapping that up, I appreciate all of council's opinions, thoughts on the topic. It's a contentious topic, as we're all well aware of. Our phones didn't stop last night for any of us, and I sympathize. I did not get any late phone calls at 11, or even Councillor Moore's phone call at 1. It's completely uncalled for. We are very open, transparent council. You're free to give us a call, text us, and emails any other time, but please be respectful of the dates. We have meetings obviously during the day, and it's very challenging when you're getting phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. Deputy Mayor Graham?
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, Mayor, and I apologies, and I considerate of Councillor Moore's experience as well as my own. Just the other thing that I would recommend with regards to the motion that was just approved in the public meeting, it will be an impossibility, or a seeming impossibility, for a bylaw that can encompass and allow for the fulfillment of the requests of either side of this argument. So I would hope that there would be an understanding and a conviction to work together, and maybe a reset with regards to the opinions and biases and, quite frankly, conspiracy theories with regards to the subject and discussion of this issue, because they are just completely inaccurate, completely unfounded, and completely counterproductive. So my request, or my final statement to get away from a microphone, is that when people come forward in this public meeting, come forward with an empathy and with an understanding that compromise is the way forward, and that we need to, in fact, work together to achieve anything. And that, there's no right or wrong on this issue. There is interest on either side, and there are valid points and considerations on both sides. So come with that opinion and from that understanding and with some empathy, and we'll look forward to the discussion.
And with that, Deputy Mayor, I thank you. That was very well said. There is no unfinished business. Any
Sorry,
notices?
Mr. Mayor. We had the addition of the bylaw 2020-63, which was to adopt the salary grid.
And we did. And that 2020-63 be read a first, second, third time, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Moved by Deputy Mayor Graham, seconded by Councillor Huntley. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. There is no unfinished business. And notice of motion. Seeing none. Confirming bylaw, item 17.1 being bylaw number 2020-63 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting held November 2nd, 2020. Be read a first, second, third time, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Moved by Deputy Mayor Graham, seconded by
Tim.
Councillor Belch. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
And just for clarification through you, Mr. Mayor, that will become bylaw 2020-64 as we added the other one.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
So Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, motion is approved. Upcoming meetings, 18.1 Thursday, November 5th, BIA Board of Management via Zoom, 8 a.m. Thursday, November 19th, Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee, 9 a.m. Monday, November 23rd, Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee via Zoom, 5 p.m. And with that, a motion to adjourn. And I can see Tim there waving his hand to move it.
Yeah.
And we got Councillor Huntley seconding it. Madam Clerk, recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Graham,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Belch,
Yes.
Mayor McFadden.
Yes, the motion is approved. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I was hoping that somebody
Tim, we're not recording yet.